Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Exploring Avatar, where, of course, we're going through our second part of Volume 3 of Avatar The High Ground. Just wanted to say hello, but of course, as always, Drew, how are you?
Doing fantastic, Jerry. How are you doing tonight?
Good, good, man. Doing good. Today's going to be an exciting one. A lot more pages than last time, we promise. We promise. So yeah, it'll be really exciting. Yeah, so just hello to everybody really quick in the chat. Jaden, Aftem Child as always, Krista, Santina. Thank you to everybody. Dr. J, thank you for showing up. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy few days. News just keeps dropping like all the time. So how are you dealing with all the news? Keeping up with it or trying to kind of back off a little bit now?
I keeping up with it mildly. Like I was kind of consuming all of it, and then I've kind of dialed it back because I feel like they're kind of starting to show us everything in the movie. So I've just kind of been skimming the headlines and trying to keep up a little bit, but not reading every article, not watching every interview now. So, man, I'm just ready for the
Yeah.
movie.
I know it's like we're so close, like a couple weeks away. It's like just give us the movie at this point. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. Every little piece of new footage, it could literally be one frame that's different. It's like this is a different angle to the same scene that we've already seen. But
Let's
but
do a
hey, it
breakdown video.
don't make fun of me, Drew. But yeah, it's still exciting. But at this point, I'm like, I just want all the frames of the movie. But just a quick little shout out to Brennan Lewis, who says, new to y'all's channel, but love it so far. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for stopping by and enjoying the content. And hopefully you enjoy this stream. And yeah, also, of course, check out, Drew's channel itself. I have the links in the description. We both have, separate channels, but we unite for this stream, every week. So, but thank you so much for stopping by. But
Brennan
yeah,
Lewis also said, Jerry, tried any of the fried elu yet?
oh my God. I have not. And that was actually, Drew coined that little dish. So he should be the first one that, you know, tries that out. So I can't take that from him. But
I
yeah,
actually
man.
have tried it, and it tastes like chicken.
Oh my
So
God. Let's not go down this path of what that dead elu in the water in that scene tastes like. Let's stop. Um anyways, oh yeah, but there was one of all the different, news segments and articles that have come out. There is one that actually does pertain to what we're gonna, the comic that we're going through right now. So I will bring that up. I felt, and Drew pointed out too, is like it'd be a good one to kind of let you guys in on. So there was this big, cover story or at least an online article on James Cameron. It's super long. A couple interesting pieces of note there, and one of them particularly was when talking about the story, of course, of Avatar, and they said this. He certainly seems to have enough Avatar story in his head to live in that world indefinitely. He wrote an entire script of what takes place between minute 4 of Avatar The Way of Water and minute 5, in which a year passes and a great deal of backstory for Champion's character Spider unfolds. Cameron peeled that story off and had it turned into a graphic novel, Avatar The High Ground, penned by YA literature writer Sherry L. Smith, which Dark Horse Comics will publish. So that's kind of interesting, right, Drew? So everything we're reading,
yeah,
volumes 1, 2, and 3 take place between minute 4 and minute 5 of Avatar: The Way of Water. Sorry.
Yeah, and we've always known the high ground led right into Avatar 2. So, what's that say about the first 4 minutes of Avatar 2?
That it's my guess, of course. I could always be wrong. That the first 4 minutes are the little pieces of montage that we've seen, of Jake and Neytiri with their kids when they're even younger. I think we recently even saw one of, Kiri as a baby, but, even when he's teaching Netayem how to, the bow and arrow, how to hunt. I think all that is just going to be part of a 4 minute montage. I don't think any of those will really be super long scenes that we're going to see for all of them. So at least that's my guess. Like, I could always be wrong. And yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a
basically,
pretty sound theory.
yeah. So yeah, the everything that we're reading right now is gonna a year is gonna there's gonna be 1 year time jump between wherever that first 4 minute ends and minute 5 begins, and we're actually going through. I mean, now we're in the final part of that story. We once again we hate that we had to skip volume 2, so we didn't see the complete story before we see the movie. But at least we do have volume 3 to get through, so which will lead us right to the movie. So it should still be exciting, and that's just very interesting to know when it takes place, basically.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be 4 minutes of flashbacks or just getting us back up to speed of where we're at, what's going on, since it has been, 13 years since we've been on Pandora with the Sullys. So I look forward to that 4 minutes. I think that's going to be a fun ride, catching us back up and then taking off from the end of the high ground.
Exactly, because I think that's all we really need. Like, just a few minutes of maybe, obviously I believe Jake will do a voiceover narrating, kind of like he's still been doing even in the high ground, and obviously as we know from the original movie. So it'll probably just be some 4 or 5 minutes of montage, him narrating, catching everybody up to speed, and then boom, full steam ahead into the events of the Way of Water. So but yeah, let's are you still going to do volume 2 when you can to breach the gaps? Yeah, whenever we can get to that, obviously it's going to come out right before the movie, so it'll get obviously overshadowed by the movie itself. But yeah, it'll still be interesting to revisit volume 2. Yeah, volume 2 when we can. So that way, at least on the channel, we do have the complete retrospective that you could always go back and watch if you wanted to. But yeah, let's
Yeah,
continue
if you're ever
where we
having
left off.
trouble sleeping, you can just put us on. Guaranteed to fall
And go,
asleep within 10 to 15 minutes every time.
oh god, and that's his promise and a guarantee. So,
Or
all
your money
right,
back.
where do we leave off the last or your money back? Um,
Or your
we
money
left off
back.
where the hounds were introduced, right? The Sec Ops mechanical hounds were introduced to start tracking the kids, right, in the forest.
Yes. Creepy hounds with red eyes.
All right, so let's if everybody's ready, let's go through a ton of slides going through about 30 pages worth of comics. So, let's begin. All right. So right away, we continue with the kids trying to escape, running through the forest. And once again, I believe this is just to catch everybody up. Spider, Kiri, Tuktiri, and Loak, correct?
Yes. Because Nethiam was with
Jake
the
and
parents,
Neytiri.
but I don't think he has showed back up quite yet, has he? Did he
Yeah,
show
not
up at
yet,
the
not
end
yet.
of what we Okay.
Yeah, not yet. All right, so let's continue. I believe that's actually Netayam right there, right?
Hey, there he is. Yep.
My boy. Uh, Dad, you there? Eagle Eye, this is Devil Dog. Say your position and status. Devil Dog, this is Eagle Eye. We're okay. We're west of the base somewhere. I got took Tiri and Kiri with me. Oh god, Spider always left behind. And me. God. Oh man. Jesus. Poor Spider, man. And then shush. Alright, roger that. Keep heading west toward Rally Point Echo. Muku River? Roger that. Your mom and I are inbound. Keep moving. So, but now seems to be like something locked onto them. It's like a Samson or something. Okay, a lot of them. They got infrared. They're gonna spot us. There, the roots will hide us. And then here you go, Drew.
We've lost the targets. Tree cover is too thick. The hounds will flush them out. Which I did. I wanted to take a second to point out. I thought that was interesting that Spider was the one to kind of point out where to go, seeing as he's the one they constantly are forgetting, but still proving his value. Then we see the hounds again, and they are sniffing out the Sully family. Some pro lemurists are saying "eep" as the hounds run through.
More of those scale
here
suits.
Comes the RDA soldiers, yes, which are proving to be quite the menace. Lots of scorpions. We can see that there's Ikran as well. Eagle Eye, they have tracker bots. Loak, do not stop, keep moving. Copy, we're Oscar Mike, on the move. Go. Then we see the family huffing because they're having to run so much. But they are in the tree roots, as Spider suggested.
Yeah. Let's see here.
And it feels like, I'm not saying he's struggling to keep up, but it's like that would be tough, being a human trying to keep up with the Na'vi as they're running through the forest.
Actually, that's a great point. Yeah. So on the fact that he's able to keep up is actually a feat, up unto itself. So that's a good point. Oh my god. Oh, here. Let's see. Oh, 1 second.
And we've got the hounds still coming, still sniffing them out. Family is still running, still huffing, still puffing. Lots of sounds in these pages today. I have 4 targets in the open as the scorpions are tracking the Sullys from above. Engage, take them out. Copy that. Flick. Then the scorpions open fire. Then the Sully family is taking cover as the fire rains down from above. Kiri says, "Hey, looks like she might be hit, or maybe some shrapnel hit her. Some flying. I mean, there's stuff going everywhere."
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah.
Spider says, "Kiri."
Oh man, but yeah, we apologize obviously for not so much. It's not really dialogue heavy when you have a lot of action, but I mean, it's still awesome to see. The art is still amazing. I gotta point out, like, I really am loving this art style right here.
Yeah, not tons of dialogue, but lots of action for sure. For sure. So then we hear the RDA pilot say, "Sorry, kids." Huh? And we see an Ikran
I mean,
coming in saying "Scraw."
and then let's see
And
here.
Neytiri doing what she does best. Oh, go ahead, Jerry.
Oh no, yeah, basically just that awesome shot of Neytiri right there. Just man,
It seems like she's always jumping off of an Ikran.
yeah. And what the? And then wow, just busted. Like I'm like, did she shove the arrowhead in there and then shoot, or just shoot the arrowhead through it? I can't even tell. But
Yeah, I'm not sure. Definitely, either way, she's at like point blank
either
range.
way, that pilot's that pilot's gone. But that was awesome. That was awesome. Let's go. And then they just keep running. Kiri falls. You got to run with me, Kiri, please. Okay. And then, they're holding on to her. They're helping her up. Great little shot there with all the smoke and basically the flame, the glow of the flames and everything. Now the hounds caught up to them. Uh-oh. There you see the hounds. What is it? Don't look back. Run. And then, come on, says Spider. Take the girls. Go, says Loak. You can do this. You can do this. Pretty sure just talking to himself there. As he gets ready to shoot an arrow. And then shoots it, but basically it either missed the eye or it just was really ineffective regardless. He says crap. Now we got some of them just jumping towards them. I think they just zap them there. Jeez.
Yeah, that's wild. Looks like they can, I'm assuming,
Oh my
shoot out of
god.
that eye. It's like, dang.
Yeah. Another one of these like shots we were talking about, the point of view, looking up at these soldiers on the scale suits that look pretty intimidating. So he's pretty much surrounded right there. Uh, can't tell if on the right of that left panel if he has if there's a regular amp suit right there because the light emanating from like the middle area. That's kind of like a silhouette of a
I think
regular amp suit, right?
I think so. Because I think we see one of its legs in the next panel
Okay, yeah,
too.
you're right. Yeah. Oh, all we had to do was click
Hey.
over. Sometimes it's that easy. But yeah, so basically it looks like he's a goner. But then, we got, I believe that one looks like Jake jumping off his Ikran onto the amp suit. Yeah, that's Jake. And, the driver's like, oh, wait, actually, yeah. And then the next one is. And then very gruesomely, just straight up just uses his knife on the soldier inside of the amp suit. and jumps away as it starts, kind of shooting everywhere. And then he starts shooting all the mechanical hounds. So basically, where, keeping some of these guns was actually a good idea. Yeah, because we basically saw that the, bow and arrow was ineffective against the hounds for the most part. And then the one that I chose for the, thumbnail, and this one just looks awesome. I think you used it as well before on your social media for a post. This one just looks awesome,
Yeah,
man.
it is. That's some like '90s comic vibes right there.
Yeah, there's Jake going Rambo.
Yeah, straight up.
But yeah, he's just shooting all the mechanical hounds, but and then let's see here. And I think he's pretty much yeah, he's got them all. He got all the hounds. That amp suit's the one he already, disposed of the pilot. So, and then Loak just says dad. Then he says son, grabs his hand, and they start running away together.
Again, man, I really love the style of this art.
I do, man. I love this because you could tell it's like really frenetic, a frenetic pace. You can tell like there's movement. I love the just like the art has that, the swoosh from like moving very fast. You can tell, they're over here running away, they're sliding down, wherever they got to go. The hounds are like, right on their trail. Like you can imagine this moving like really fast, kind of like reminiscent of, Jake running away from the, Thanator type of scene. That's what I kind of envision, that kind of pace. Man, even these silhouette shots right there, awesome. But yeah, so let's see. You know, Tiri says you can do it, Kiri. Spider's looking down. He sees the, one of the hounds closing in. And like, Spider, what are you? And he goes, stay back. And he gets one of the rocks loose off the cliff that they're kind of climbing on, picks it up. Apparently, well, you can pick up this giant boulder, and he's about to throw it at the hounds. But then it looks like right now at the moment I can't tell if it's Neytiri or Nethayam, but somebody shoots one of the hounds with an arrow. And it looks like it was Neytiri. So a great shot right there of Neytiri. But still more of the hounds. Da-da-da. Now you have like a little team up going on there between, Neytiri and Jake teaming up on these mechanical hounds. You want to get these next ones, Drew?
Sure. Got
It's
Jake
no
in
time
there. This
left.
time he's this time he's using his machine gun to literally just hit the hounds. And then maybe Loak asking if everybody's okay. Um, Again, the art is kind of doing most of the speaking on these pages.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've spotted something. Neytiri says, ah. Kiri, you're wounded. I'll be okay. We're okay, Mama, mostly.
Oh, that's a callback to the James Cameron's Aliens with the little girl. They mostly come out at night. Mostly.
Yep, it is,
Oh my
absolutely.
god.
What, what was her name?
And
Newt?
also
Was her name Newt?
yeah, Newt. Yeah, Newt. Um and the art, it looks like we got a change of artist now. So now the second half of this the volume 3. So it kind of looks like they stuck with one when it was like super frenetic, super, a lot of action. And they're still going to be going forward, but yeah, it looks like they halfway through they have now shifted, but it's still going to be great art.
And as we see, the amp suits are still coming. And Jake says, move. As it looks like the amp suits open fire on him, Jake calls out, Rogue 2, Devil Dog. I need an extract. Home on my transponder. Roger, Devil Dog. Inbound now. I'll be to you in 3 mics. Which is interesting because Trudy was Rogue 1, so now we have Rogue 2.
Yeah.
And we see Jake running, holding Took. Be advised, it's going to be hot. Been that kind of day. Tell me about it.
Like those little the amp suits there on the top corner just closing in. Jeez.
Yeah, getting close. Then we see one of the Skell suit drivers saying, I love those dogs. Iron Sky, Alpha 1 actual. Hellhounds are down. Proceed without. And then the guy who loves the dogs says, savages. And we see the Sully family still running. Spider's actually quite a bit
Oh god,
back in the distance. Now that Neytiri's there, they're not waiting on Spider.
oh my god. Man, you just got to collect all this. Just any image that's the Soli family without Spider happy. This panel perfectly like just explain, just like encapsulates the entire thing. Oh god, hello darkness, my old friend.
And then Jake looks back and actually sees that Spider's struggling to keep up. What are you? We cannot stop, says Neytiri. And she's not wrong, because the RDA is possibly still moving in. Unless that's their right out. You've got to stay here, kid. No, he can't keep up. He's coming with us. No, my child, he belongs with his own kind. So again, Kiri defending Spider and Neytiri not. She's ready
Jeez.
for him to stay back with his own people.
But I'm like, at this point, would you even, trust that they wouldn't just, kill him off? You know what I mean? Like, just because he's a
Yeah, I
human, or
wouldn't.
they. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that right now because you can't just be like, you gotta. I know they've been shooting at us, man, but you gotta stay here, bro. Like, no, what are you talking about? Oh man.
I mean, the Sullies all heard the warning, If the humans didn't agree to join up, then they were to be killed. So at
Exactly.
worst,
And
yeah,
obviously
or at best, I would think he'd be captured.
yeah. And then
And Jake says, "Look, oh, go ahead, Jerry."
you can do this one. I'll start on the next one.
Okay. Jake says, "Look, you can handle yourself out here for a while. When it quiets down, head back and turn yourself in." Spider says, "I may not be blue, but I belong here as much as you do." Then we hear, "Dad." And Jake turns around. "Come on, kid."
Jeez, man, the fact him having to defend that point, it's crazy. Let's see.
Yeah,
You're gonna
I'm
have to
surprised
run
like
twice as
Loak
hard. Oh, go ahead.
I'm surprised like Loak or even Neytiri isn't helping Spider more, carry him or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe. I mean, I guess he would slow them down because I mean he's smaller than the other ones, but unless they're that much stronger, he'd probably slow anybody that's trying to carry him. So the only one is just Tiri there that could be carried easily. So, oh man, that must suck. Basically, you got to work twice as hard as anybody else there just to be able to keep up with them. Jeez. Dr. J says, "Give my boy an avatar body." And then obviously we see them tracking them in the Iron Sky Gunrunner 6. Targets are the heck? Intermittent? I don't even know what that word is. We're not getting a
Intermittent.
lock. Intermittent. There we go. Hammer their positions. Iron Sky Alpha 1 actual. Those kids are worthless to us dead. Sully's probably one of these targets, so we're going to hit them all. That okay with you, Captain? And then I believe it's the ship that's most likely coming back to retrieve to extract the Sully family starts firing on them, I believe. I think you can see it there in the top. And let's see here. They're running, and then basically something still goes off near them. Let's see. Sorry, I got distracted by that top panel. I was like, is that just once again Spider way off in the distance over there?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It
At
blends
first, I
in
was like,
nicely.
wait. It's like a Where's Waldo with Spider at times. Oh my god. And then I was like, okay, that's a Navi in the foreground, and then he's in the background because it like for a split second it almost looked like it was in the same little area. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, so trying to catch their breath for a little bit, and then and then that's it. You got to continue running. Then it actually looks like some backup is arriving, right?
It does.
Think the bottom one. These are the what's the clan? Not the Teirangi clan, because uh that's the cliff ones, right?
That's right. Um,
Okay.
the Dire Horse Clan.
Man, it's like escaping me right now. The
Same here.
but yeah, the yeah, they're we'll just call them the Dire Horse clan. You do see them like in the original movie. They're the two different ones that you mainly see. And speaking of the come on page. Yeah,
Oolongi
speaking of the
Clan.
other one, Oolong, yeah, there you go. There you go. And the other clan is here now too. You see them on their banshees there. What's the leader called? The I
Ikani.
how do you pronounce Ikani? Yeah. I always try to say like
Ikani, yep.
Ikaini or something. Ikani, yeah, there you go. And yeah, love the colors on her banshee. We actually got that one in the we got that banshee in the small scale in the McFarlane toys recently, and you could get her in the blind boxes. So basically, you can have them both there together. So that's great. But yeah, looks like they're coming in to help. And then I'll let you get these final few slides we got here for today with no dialogue
Alrighty, as
once
you see the
again.
Navi moving in, looks like they're throwing Ebola to catch
Yeah.
up the amp suit's legs and make it fall off a cliff, which is pretty effective.
And there you could see how, that we were talking about the pros and cons on the different type of suits, or as, the other ones are way more nimble and agile. This is basically your con with the bulky amp suits that does give you the cockpit and everything, but something like this could easily happen.
Yeah, and then they're just moving into the amp suit, and again, looks like they're going for the knife kill like Jake did.
Man, that's a great shot right there.
That is. Then again, an Ikran moving in against a Scorpion. Looks like this time they're taking out a rotor. It looks like with a rock. So,
Oh my god. Oh, you're right. You're right. It is a rock. And
and it explodes, and the Ikran rider rides off, saying, "Yep."
yep, that was the basically another third of Volume 3 done. We just have the final portion, which is the last 30 pages of this comic. Like I said, I mean, they are like 30 pages, but it kind of flew by because like that there is minimal dialogue in this volume because it's just all just action. But I mean, I still love it. It's great stuff. What did you think so far, Drew, of Volume 3?
I like it. I mean, I hadn't read it yet either. I would just skim through, getting ready for tonight. But again, I kind of like reading it with you guys and not knowing what's coming, so I can give an honest take. But yeah, it was cool seeing the other clans coming in to help them. I wondered what was going to happen because the Sullys alone weren't doing all that hot, other than just keeping ahead of the RDA. So it's nice to see some friends roll in and give some aid.
Yep. I mean, it's the same, same clans we saw before, but still, it's still cool to see them again. Obviously, because we're about to meet a lot of, newer clans and Navi cultures soon. So it's good to see some of these back. Kind of wonder if we'll ever see them in the movies again. I hope so, because it'd be great for something like this to kind of help out in some final battle of one of those movies, something like that.
I think we'll see the Teirangi for sure, especially since they live there near the sea. Kind of makes
Yeah,
sense.
on the cliff right there. Yeah, so at least
Right.
they're one of the closest ones. I'm sure the dire horse ones are very limited with just land. They can't really help out with any battles over the oceans or anything, but they could at some point help storm Bridgehead City from at least the land portion if they ever mount of some kind of attack like that in the future sequels.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with since this does lead up into the movie, except for instead of leading up into minute one, it leads up to minute five. It'll be interesting to see if we see any remnants of what happens at the very end of this book. So we could see some of them then, because we don't know how Volume 3 ends quite yet.
Exactly. Like, will we get little sprinkles or little hints of, Avatar 2 in terms of, do we get a glimpse of the ocean or anything? It'd be cool to see. So, but yeah, that was our second part of Avatar: The High Ground Volume 3. But most importantly, what did you guys think? Because you guys are kind of going through this comic with us. What do you guys think so far? I mean, obviously, this would, definitely transfer, you know, a lot better seeing it in movie form, especially, all the action scenes and everything. The comics are great. I love the art. I love both art styles that we got to see in this part right here. So, but as good as this is, of course, it just doesn't do it justice to seeing it in movie form. But I still like it. I know, I
Yeah,
agree.
I
It
do
does
too.
go by too fast. That's just because the minimal dialogue. Like if we had meteor dialogue, I'm sure this because that was 61 slides, you guys. Like it was 30 pages, but to give you guys a good look at it all, I usually break each page into like two. One of them, I believe, took like three portions to really show you guys all the art. Um, but yeah, that was like 61 slides. It's just, mostly it was just Drew doing like the sound effects of a banshee or something.
Screet. That wasn't an actual banshee either, guys. That was me. If you couldn't tell.
Yeah, we couldn't tell. Yeah, we couldn't tell. Honestly, I can't even guess like where this volume ends because it just kind of seems like the whole thing might just be like an extended battle scene, and I kind of wonder if that's what volume 2 was. Just it was all like a space battle, and then this one became the ground battle. So yeah, I wonder if just the rest of this is also one giant action scene. Lynx Cat says, "I thought that was a real banshee." But we do have a couple more things. They Today they released a new article. Empire Online has been doing these every day. I believe the first one they were talking to Sam Worthington. The next day they talked to Sigourney Weaver about Kiri. I put those two videos up on the channel. Some details they said about them. But today they actually came out with they were interviewing Stephen Lang, and let's see here. There was a little Q&A with Stephen Lang, and there was actually some interesting things about about Quaritch. that came out in that. So I'll show you guys the most interesting questions and answers that he gave, if that's okay with you, Drew, to kind of go over that really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. This was one of the articles I actually read too.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I chose a few of the best questions and the most interesting answers that actually pertain to like either the character or the story. So yes, so this is regarding obviously, Recom Quaritch, starting with Avatar 2, and the first question was, and you're back because you are a recom. Tell us about that. And he says, he's a genetically engineered autonomous avatar. He has been downloaded with the mind, the emotions, and even more interestingly, possibly the spirit of Quaritch. Now, that's all pretty esoteric stuff. He comes with a full memory bank up until the time he actually undergoes the DNA transfer. So there are certain things that he doesn't have any memory of at all. He has no memory of his death. So that's very interesting. So it looks like they had all the information, but what I gathered from that was at for some reason at the moment of DNA transfer, there's like a little hiccup, and some of the not everything goes 100% through. And interestingly enough, he doesn't even recall that he died.
Or did the DNA transfer happen before he died? Was it possible they got the sample just before that had happened?
I guess you're that could be the case as well. But I wonder if because of that, the one he tells us here, the interesting detail is he doesn't even know that he died. So obviously now, when we do see him, have we seen in the as we've seen in the trailer with him picking up the human skull, which you could tell by the markings on the skull on the side that is, the human skull of Quaritch that he crushes. Maybe that's him actually even finding out that he died, unless they already told him, and he didn't just discover that out in the field. But regardless, him still seeing it for the first time is going to be a shock. But the other interesting thing is, especially as we're reading through the high ground, is it going to be why he might not remember that he has a son or had a son, if he in fact even knew, you know, uh, basically in his human form that him and Bas Socorro did have a child. It could be that that's one of the things that he's forgotten about.
For sure, it could be something he needs to be told about, or if Spider knows that that's his dad, maybe Spider will even be the one at some point.
Exactly, because I think he does know from that
I think he does as well.
that leaked audio from D23. He doesn't say the name, but he made that line. Sometimes it's not always uh, great to know who your father is. Something along those lines, and I
Right.
believe Kiri responding with, you're not him. So clearly, I think everybody is in the know of who his father is, which could explain. Obviously, that does explain why, particularly Neytiri, is having a very hard time, accepting him. She probably is finding it very difficult to like disassociate if she knows who his father is, which I'm sure they probably do, because if you found him at Hell's Gate or however that went about, I'm sure Hell's Gate itself had the medical records, and this this particular lady gave birth and obviously named him Miles. So either they put it together that way, or really there on file she might have put that Quaritch was his father. It could be in the system.
We will have to wait and
But
find out on December
I
15th
guess
or 16th.
no, it's 15th. 15th for us at least. Hey, some others have the 14th, so but yeah, and here's the other question is it fair to say that he's still the same old Quaritch? It's fair to say it, but I think it's incomplete. If you think about it, in the original film, Quaritch was really a function. He was a colorful function, a personality filled function, but he really was there to provide conflict. Now he still has that function. Oh my god, that's a lot of function. But I also think just because of the depths of what Jim is exploring here, he's quite a bit more than that. We're seeing parts of him that we have not seen hitherto. That only makes sense because we don't want to be massaging the same territory over and over again. We need to go to new places, and indeed he does. Um, One interesting thing is I like how during that Fandango interview, and I honestly I hadn't even put it together, but that his name, I don't know if this is how he interpreted it or if this is what it really means, but that it kind of it means like quarrel, like it's like almost like he's destined to always fight and destined to for there to always be conflict. And it's interesting because his name kind of means war, like quarrel, and then Spider's mom is literally boss, which means peace. So he's the product of war and peace.
That's crazy.
But so yeah, just right here, basically saying once again, it's going to be more complex and it's not just going to be the same thing as before. It's not going to be one note. And then what can we say about the RDA or what the RDA are up to? The RDA is a big, busy, vibrant, and very, very cold mechanism. I think that what happened in the past to the RDA is, in effect, water off of mechanical ducts back to them. It's just, okay, if that doesn't do it, let's send in what does do it because they do the math. If the outcome justifies the input, they're going to do the expenditure. It's not a question of ego, it's just flat out cold, nasty business equations with them. That is the team that Quaritch is playing for. They're the ones who put the uniform on his back. If anything, he does his job, but I would just suggest that his relationship with RDA is not a simple thing. And I think that kind of goes into, I don't know if you've kind of mentioned it, where that maybe at some point there could be some kind of just like what can you call it? Kind of like a disconnect between him and the RDA at some point. Maybe he might branch off and do his own thing, something like that, or at least from here, they're not always going to see eye to eye.
Yeah, after reading this article, I kind of got that feeling. Kind of got that vibe. Like he wasn't trying to let it out per se, but maybe not all was as good between Recom Quaritch and the RDA as human Quaritch and the RDA.
Exactly. That kind of makes sense. I think the more he kind of experiences and lets in like this whole Pandora aspect of his life now, I don't know if that really means like a turn just yet, but it could just mean that in general, they just he maybe just can't really 100% be behind them anymore. It's for some reason or another.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if it has to do with his son or just feelings he develops from seeing both sides, or what? What may happen to
Exactly.
cause that conflict inside of him?
Exactly. And just the last one here. How would you describe his relationship with Eddie Falco's character Ardmore, the security general at the RDA? She looks like she can cower even Quaritch. Eddie Falco could cower a lot of people, I'm sure. She's a tough broad, a tough cookie, a beautiful person, and a beautiful piece of casting. She outranks Quaritch. It seems to me he is really trying his hardest to make it work with Ardmore, but we'll just have to see how that works out. Back in the day, Quaritch was the right angle, straight line guy in a very fluid and round world. Now it's Ardmore who lives by this by the book doctrine, and sometimes you got to throw the book out the window. So yeah, that kind of backs up the previous point where, and I've heard him mention it before that now the how he talks about round and fluid, whereas before described Porch as just being completely right angles and just straight line and everything. So yeah, now it's all this fluid and round world aspect that's being introduced because of this new avatar Navi self. So yeah, man, it's gonna be really interesting. I'm actually getting more and more pumped to see how everything works out with Quaritch. It's gonna be really interesting. I kind of felt that hoping that he just wouldn't be as single note as before, but now ever since we saw it from that first teaser that this is the way he's coming back, I've been super pumped, and now this makes me even more just completely knowing he's going to be more complex, dealing with a bunch of stuff. We now basically know maybe an unknown son into the equation. So
Yeah, I'm not saying I want to see Quaritch become good per se, but it'd be cool to see his character evolve and maybe more into a gray range, which is just straight up bad. And I saw Montana Productions asked the question is is when Quaritch's mind was transferred. Was it before the first film? During the first film? Will he even know Jake Sully? Or will he have to learn who Jake is, what he has done all over? And I think we actually, if you've heard the D23 audio, we already have the answer to that. And I think he does very much know who Jake and Neytiri are. Um, I guess that doesn't prove when his DNA was collected, but he's at least been told who they are. But he seems to know them personally, just the way he addresses. I believe it's actually Neytiri in the clip.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's when she also says like, um, I don't care how many times I have to kill you, devil, something along those lines. But
Right.
uh, but yeah, and it's very interesting. He did bring up the word, like it could even be a transfer of his spirit in a way. It's very interesting because that the it brings up the whole reincarnation theme again. One, basically a mechanical version of it, and now the Kiri being the natural or spiritual version of it. So it's like the two different sides of it at play because yeah, I do think that Kiri. I think we got it from the Sigourney Weaver of this Empire Q and A's with the actors. She did mention the word, her being reincarnated into another character. So I think the article writer, when we did, read that one where he said it was a naturally conceived, the only thing that James Cameron actually said in there that were his actual quotes were like that it was a natural birth from the Avatar body of grace. So it could still be, the Awa implanted some of itself or herself, however you want to put it, into Kiri. So it's both maybe a Grace and Kiri, yet at the same time, sort of a daughter because it was born from the Avatar. But yeah, very complicated. But soon we'll find out, man. Just what 14 days, something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about off air. When we go through and we take every word we read literally, and some of these writers may not have or probably don't have the same avatar knowledge as we do just because it's their job. They're covering all sorts of media. They may not necessarily be a fan or diehard or know everything that's come out. So sometimes some of the words they use, I don't think does any of us any uh, favors. But I don't think they
Yeah,
mean anything by it per se. They're just putting their spin, their interpretation on what they know. But we're looking at it and thinking what they're saying is, the gospel, and it turns out to maybe not quite be right.
exactly. Because at the end of the day, the people that write the articles, the only thing that we have that was actually said is always just the stuff that's in the quotations, and then the rest of it is their interpretation of what they think either that actor or the director James Cameron said. So, which is what I think will happen with the last time with that article with the him describing the four scenes and that whole Kiri info dump. But but yeah, man. Speaking of reading into something way too much, guilty as charged. Wanted to get everybody's. Let me see. Do I even have it here? Where is it? Like randomly today, I remembered that the first synopsis I ever read for Avatar 2, and I even like messaged Drew and I was like, "Do you remember this?" And I think you said you didn't remember those specific words, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
So let me see if I could bring it up here. I want to see if anybody in the chat remembers this. So here we go. I found it because I was like, am I crazy? Did I remember something weird? But yes, just on the topic of reading into something way too much, and it's most likely nothing because once again, we don't know who wrote the synopsis or anything. But this, let me read to you very early, probably the first synopsis for Avatar 2 I've ever read, and see if we can freaking uncover what's going on here. So Jake, Sully, and Neytiri have formed a family and are doing everything to stay together. However, they must leave their home and explore the regions of Pandora. Okay. When an ancient threat resurfaces, Jake must fight a difficult war against the humans. So the thing that stood out to me even way back in the day, and then I kind of forgot about it because they never worded it like this ever again. So once again, this could be where like, just misworded and, we don't know who really wrote the synopsis. But just those words, ancient threat resurfaces, at least in my opinion, like right off the bat, I'm like, to describe the RDA as an ancient threat, I don't think that you can call that ancient. I mean, I know people have joked like it's been way too long. It's been 13 years. But is that ancient?
Yeah, I mean, my thought is it's just poor wording, but I mean, it definitely could be something else.
Because it's very interesting. And also, the other key word to me is resurfaces, where I'm like, why would you use that word? Like, once again, guys, this could just be nothing. Like Drew says, it could just be whoever wrote this just really misworded it badly, and they just meant to say, the RDA. But you even like this is one complete sentence, and you even already used the word humans in this sentence. So then to describe them previously in the same sentence as an ancient threat resurfaces, and wouldn't you use the word returns? Because they would be returning, not resurfacing. Because to me, resurfacing is something that's basically remained dormant on Pandora, if it's ancient for like a millennia or just something that maybe the old songs or the first songs are about. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I really hope so. Like, this could be me just really getting my hopes up. You know, some intern just like really worded this badly, and Drew's just gonna laugh at me later on. But yeah, like an ancient threat resurfaces, and then it just says Jake must fight a difficult war against the humans, kind of making it seem like two things happening, you know, at the same time. But yeah, am I just, you know, reading into this too much? What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I hate to be like, no, you're wrong, because I mean, there definitely is going to be more to this
I
movie
am.
that we don't know. Um, but in this instance, I just feel like they worded it, tried to be like fancy, and it didn't come across very well.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess they wanted to kind of not say RDA. I was like, I guess they just didn't want to like say it right away. But obviously, everybody,
They
even
probably
people that
couldn't
you know,
remember RDA.
it's been so long, Drew. We don't even know. It was just an ancient threat comes back. We don't know.
They have
But hey, you
these
know,
writers have deadlines. They've got to pump these stories out.
yeah, for 4 years of script writing, whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, I kind of hope in a way, like I just randomly remembered this today, and that's why I texted you. I was like, "Do you remember that?" And like, because I was this was the first one I ever read, and I remember even then being excited. I'm like, "Oh no!" Like, you know, this is a hint that like something a third party is going to enter the ring at some point, and you know, and that would really, which would be a cool twist, you know, because this could be the Miles Socorro all over again, where they come out and they told us to begin with his name was Miles, and then they're like, no, 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 it's Javier, and then it was just like, you know what, he's just Spider, and now guess what, it was Miles Socorro all along because his dad is Quaritch. So maybe also in one of their first synopsis, maybe they kind of, you know, hinted at something, and then they're like, "Don't hint at that yet, you know, yet. Like that's supposed to be a surprise." I kind of hope so, but I mean, I think it would be an
Without
interesting.
knowing who wrote this, like if it was just like someone with the Hollywood Reporter or Empire or something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, especially when this came out, that was so long ago that they probably didn't know much. They have just a tiny little synopsis and they have to just kind of make it sound good. That's what I feel like they tried to do, but it just sounds stupid. Unless they're being literal and there is some kind of an ancient threat that we don't know about. But
Dude,
if
I'm
there
at the
is, we haven't seen anything.
which is
But
great because that means that other than sorry.
we do have 3 hours and 10 minutes worth of movie though, and there's got to be a lot of stuff that we probably don't know what's going to happen, even though it feels like we do.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of telling Drew, I was like, I almost can basically map out how this movie's gonna play out in my head, and I think I'll do a video where I kind of explain what I think the beats are gonna be, and then see how, you know, how it compares after seeing the movie. But I mean, I kind of hope in a way, like regardless of who wrote this or whatever, I kind of hope that at some point throughout 4 movies that there is something else, because like it's like I know, you know, now you know the fact that they're coming for a whole human colonization of the planet, it justifies it more than of course when we thought maybe they would just be coming back for just revenge or more unobtainium again. Now we're like, okay, that makes more sense, and we can see how this conflict can keep going and going because you know they're not stopping at just like a mineral or just, you know, for revenge. It you know, it's the last effort or the last hope for humanity itself. which would justify it. But at the same time, it is 4 movies, and I always thought like, gotta introduce something else. I at least I hope, but that could just be me. I could be alone in that camp. Anyways, but just a few days until we get like audience reaction to the movie. Not just the cast, because yeah, we ever like since our last stream, the cast itself has seen the movie, and obviously they're glowing about it, and I take them at their word for it, of course. But it'll still be good in uh, a few days time to actually get general audience reaction. What do you think, Drew? What are you thinking? Are you thinking overly positive, a mixed response? What are you thinking for that initial social media embargo lifting?
I think it'll be very positive. I mean, especially after like what Zoe Saldana has said. But I mean, there's always going to be people that don't like it because not every movie's for everybody. Totally understandable. Um,
Yeah,
Honestly, I don't really want to hear what people think about it or not, because it doesn't have any bearing. I mean, everybody could say that it's horrible and it's the worst movie they've ever seen, but I'm still going on the 15th, and like nothing is gonna stop that excitement at this point. So
yeah,
I'm not
no.
super interested to hear what anybody has to say, as horrible as that sounds.
I think the only way I've used them in recent years for like movies I was anticipating, obviously, like this one supersedes all of those. But I've kind of just, it's just because I'm not able to see it, so it's kind of like in that moment I vicariously live through those people, and especially when they're like glowing reviews, it just gets me even more pumped to see the movie. Obviously, I don't look to see for spoilers or nothing, but it could just be a simple of like, guys, like, you guys aren't ready for this, and it's just like, I don't know, it's silly, but they do excite me more when they are like, glowing reviews, just just little tweets. But for anybody asking, the social media embargo lifts on the 6th because that's when the premiere is in London, if I'm correct. So basically, when people get out of the movie on the 6th, so most likely, let's see, if it's in London, if you're in the US, I mean, obviously, if you're in the UK, it's going to be at night, probably late at night. If you're in the US, 5 or 6 in the afternoon, something like that. And then from there, just kind of, see your local time zones for that. But that'll be on the 6th. And then the actual full reviews will come out on the 13th of December. So on the 6th, they could only give, well, let's say a tweet, like a up to 40. What's a tweet? Like, I don't even know how many characters that is. 140 characters, something like that. So they're only supposed to give like vague 144. Wow.
I think.
Wow. Jerry's wrong again. Um,
Damn it, Jerry.
Jesus, like why gotta get everything wrong. But yeah, so it's just gonna be their quick reactions. Brianna Brown says John Campea is gonna spoil everything. Oh, no, he won't. I don't even think he's gonna see it early. I think he says nowadays that he doesn't go to like early screenings or something. So, but all your other big ones will see it in a few days, like you know whatever other big YouTubers that cover movies that you guys watch. I'm sure some of them will get early screenings. I know Grace Randolph is one of them that she said she's not even excited at all, but she's gonna see it in a few days as well. So
Good news, Jerry. At one point you were right, but now it is 280 character limit on Twitter. But it used to be
oh really?
140. So you're going to
Oh,
be
okay,
right
so
about the ancient evil coming from the ground and
yes,
Pandora as
guys,
well.
you heard it here first. The word resurfacing, so it's going to come out of the water. That's
Oh, the
why.
water. Excuse me.
So it's gonna come out of the water. The RDA actually stumbles upon it with all their, their mining stuff in the water. Anyways, uh, uh, but yeah.
Is the alien
Uh,
queen gonna be in this?
hey, in a way, you joke, man, but there is a lot of like the Navi, especially for anybody that owns the book. And both Drew and I have said like we got to do more actual Avatar lore videos, and he's been doing a lot of very interesting. If you guys check out his shorts, right? You do like what you call Navi knowledge.
Yeah, I've been doing that on YouTube, trying to throw out a couple each day here for, I don't know, maybe the last 4 or 5 days or so.
But yeah, me too. Like once the craziness of the movie, dies down, we're so close to it. But yeah, I want to really go into the lore. I know like not everybody wants to, learn all about the lore, but I'll put them up there just to put them up, regardless of the views or anything. But in that book, it's very interesting, man. Like there's a lot of hints that we don't know everything, about the Navi. Like there's a lot of like mysteries surrounding even the origins of the Navi and everything. So hopefully this is stuff that eventually either gets hinted at or touched upon in these sequels, or who knows, maybe expanded material later on. Avatar 6 and 7, right?
Yeah, maybe all the Avatar sequels are going to be horrible, and we're going to be like those old fans who only like the first three Star Wars movies. We can sit
Oh my
around and
god.
talk about how good Avatar 1 was and everything else sucks.
Oh my god. That's gonna be you, Drew. You're gonna be like, I'll stick with
That's,
Avatar 1 when Neytiri
that
was
sounds
alive throughout
miserable.
the entire movie.
Going down that road again.
Let's see. But but yeah, man. Hopefully, uh, man, media blackout. We gotta go on a. It's hard, Drew. Like I want to, but I can't. So I know I'm gonna just these last 2 weeks. A lot more stuff is gonna come out and come out. But they're asking when is the next stream when we're covering the last part of Volume 3 of the High Ground, and we don't know.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this stream yesterday, but we have lives and work and jobs and stuff comes up. So, um, yeah, I'm sure we'll get it out at some point this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We haven't really
So it could
discussed that
be
yet. So,
could be as soon as tomorrow or the day after. But yeah. Brendan Lewis says, we don't know much about the Navi, unfortunately, because the RDA explorers met aliens for the first time and immediately went, say hello to my little friend. Oh my god. Um, Sad but true in a way. Brianna Brown says, all I need are my tickets and I'm ready. Oh, have you not gotten tickets yet? Oh, that she said the closest one was also like, what was it, 3 hours away? Oh man, that's terrible. But yeah, Drew, anything else you'd like to bring up before we end the stream?
um, kind of like what you were just mentioning about the media blackout and stuff. I've kind of already started to some extent. Like, I've still been checking socials and stuff, but not too much. Just kind of like checking on my friends or whatever. Not just scrolling and trying to really read what anybody has to say. And I haven't been watching anybody's videos or anything. So, yeah, I've kind of already started to dial it back. Um, I mean, it's almost a guarantee there's going to be a few people who see the movie and then spoil it, or at least some major parts for people. And then, of course, that's going to spread all over Twitter and everywhere else. So I'm really just hoping to avoid any of those major spoilers before I go in at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too. Like I pop in occasionally. Maybe I do a post or two on social media, but uh, really not really scrolling through Instagram and Twitter like I used to before. Because, like you said, now it's every little morsel we're gonna be discussing and everything, and it's at the point where it's like we're so close. We just want the movie. If this was still like 3-4 months ago, then it's okay. At least we're still far enough. But now it's just like don't want to break it down anymore. Don't want to discuss it. Just let me see the movie, and we'll talk more afterwards, right? we'll talk. We'll break that movie down for like months to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And most movies, I don't see a whole lot, but if I am interested in going to see a movie, spoilers usually don't bother me. Like, you could pretty much tell me the whole movie, and I'm still going to go watch it and make up my mind if I like it off of the actual movie. But with Avatar, it's just different. And I think, for one, it's a big passion. But two, just the length of time I've been waiting for Avatar 2. I think that's the big one right there. Having to have to wait this long, I don't want to ruin it now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially us in this community here waiting this many years for one. If it was like that, maybe a sequel we were maybe waiting for just 2 or 3 years. It's like, yeah, I was still waiting a long time, but it's not the same. You're like, please don't spoil it. It's been a 13-year wait, so I get it, man.
Yeah, what are you looking forward to these next few days? Well, I guess we got a couple weeks left. Are you looking forward to seeing anything new, learning anything new, or are you just kind of ready to dial back as well?
Honestly, really ready to dial back. I feel like I told you it's kind of like a blessing and a curse to be this heavily and involved in the community and everything. Because you feel like you have to see everything that comes out. But I will dial it back because, like you as well, I don't really want to know everything. Even just always breaking these things down. I already feel I know more than I probably would have otherwise, and it's already like a little too much. So I'm like, I got to peel it back. So yeah, not really looking forward to anything. Like I don't need any more. Definitely, please do not give us another full trailer because if they do, for sure that one is going to have something in there that we're going to wish we didn't see. Like little TV spots, just showing us a different angle of the same scenes that we've gotten before. That's fine. But yeah, not really looking forward to anything. Just the movie itself. I mean, I'll be excited in a few days to check out the reactions. That's honestly, like I said, they kind of put me up, man. So, so I'm kind of ready for
Hey, that's
those.
good.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, that's
like,
exciting.
do I wish I would just be able to see it myself? Of course, but at least it's something where it's like I'm not. It's not seeing any more footage or anything. It's kind of just getting a taste that like the general audience likes it. Because I think what I have been disliking for sure, it's just all the and I knew they were coming. You can find them on YouTube already. All these people that just want it to fail and people have really grabbed onto that headline like it needs to make 2 billion. So oh my god, it's like I kind of wish he never said like it needs to be the third or fourth highest grossing because obviously like not this film needs to do that to break even, but everybody has grabbed onto that quote so hard, so
It's
so it
kind
could
of
hit
like
one.
a guy I know. He grabbed onto this quote of an ancient evil resurfaces,
Oh
when
my
really the
god.
problem was the writer just wrote it poorly. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Oh my god. I think Drew
You're
really
gonna
hit
make
it.
you're gonna make me eat my words, aren't you?
No, no. I mean, you never know, man. I'm just keeping an open mind. You never know. That literally could have been somebody just wording something bad. Obviously, I really think that's what it was. But it was just like it sparked the hope in me that like it just became intriguing. I'm like, man, I really wish there was something from from the Navi's own history, their past that comes back that they just haven't said, haven't talked about in like generations. Since they have been around supposedly thousands and thousands of years longer than us humans have been here on Earth. So in recorded history, so there's got to be some kind of conflicts that they had besides just like natural disasters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there. I mean, even amongst the tribes themselves, I mean, there could be other beings that live on Pandora that they also have issues with. There's no telling. I mean, we've seen such a
Yeah,
little bit of Pandora, even though it feels like we've seen a bunch, but we really haven't. We're really just getting dove into that world.
exactly. But yeah, I think that's the number one thing aside from, it's just the reaction. I really want to see it be positive because that'll give us a great indicator. I'm very confident that this is going to make a ton of money. Is it going to cross 2 billion? At the end of the day, like I've said before, I don't even care. Like as long as, it crosses that billion, gets close to like 1.5, cuz yeah, it's like at the end of the day, some of these things are you keep hearing all this negativity and it gets tiring, so it's whatever. So like a little part of me is like, yes, I want it to be certain things, you know, past Top Gun Maverick, past No Way Home's box office, just so that literally, because it'd be like, what do you have to say now? Uh, getting at 1.9, them not crossing the 2 billion. So, yeah, I kind of would like it to cross the 2 billion just for that petty little reason. But hey, as long as we get 4 and 5 secured, I'm good. And not even just 4 and 5, but just the franchise being able to continue in general. Because like that, he's talked about, he has a story in his mind. Obviously, nothing written yet for a possible 6 and 7. There was that quote as well. He wouldn't direct them. He said he would have to soon, choose a successor and train them because no matter how smart you are, or how good of a director you are, he says nobody's ready for this. So we never know, man. If this really, blows it out of the water, box office wise, it could just mean the longevity of the franchise as a whole. So that'll be very, very good, at least for us Avatar fans.
Yeah, for sure. And like we both have talked about, we just want the movie to be successful. A particular number doesn't necessarily matter to us. We want to be successful and get more Avatar films. But I've been thinking about it, and I was like, man, I'm gonna make a prediction. Um, I mean, it's just a guess, just a fun guess, and I'm saying 2.3 billion. That's gonna be my guess.
What was it? What was it again?
2.3 billion.
Oh, 2.3. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
you're actually going really high, huh? Dang.
Well, yeah, I would like to go higher, but with some of the issues going on in China with COVID and whatnot, I'm keeping it more towards two. But I feel like if Top Gun Maverick can make 1.5, um, we can definitely beat that by a healthy amount.
Yeah. And I think I read today that a lot of the territories or cities that were under the lockdown, that they've actually agreed that they're going to lift them before the time the movie releases in China.
Oh,
So
cool.
actually,
That's awesome.
yeah, a lot of those territories that we thought, oh, they're going to be under lockdown, a lot of cities and stuff. Apparently, they passed it where they're going to lift them before the movie comes out. So there we go, man. That's going to be a huge, huge help right there. So
Absolutely. China is huge. I don't know if they still are, but I believe it was 2019 they actually had more ticket sales for the year than the US did for movies. So they're a major player, and they were number two at the box office for Avatar 1 as well.
yeah,
And like you
so
pointed
yeah,
out, when the remaster, well, I guess it wasn't the remaster, but when they replayed Avatar in 2021 in China. It made 57 million. And then when we got the remaster this year, the whole rest of the world combined only made, I believe it was like 51, 52 million. So
Yeah,
it's a big deal in China.
exactly. And we saw that during the release of the first movie that we were able to get 200 and something million from them, and that's the theater numbers there have increased by 18 fold. So they
It's
have
insane.
18 times more theaters now than they did then. So especially if a lot of these territories open up, that's money right there, man. That could be like a 4 to 500 million potential haul if they end up really liking it. If they really like it, but there's potential there. They could be the deciding factor of if you end up crossing the 2 billion or if you don't cross the 2 billion. They could be that factor.
Yeah, definitely. And they could determine whether we get, the rest of the Avatar sequels greenlit or not. Um, so it's because if they didn't get the movies at all, that would be really bad. But I'm glad they're allowing Avatar 2 to be shown there.
Yeah, just for anybody that's become a huge fan there, which obviously it seems like there are a ton. Which because just in 2021, raking over close to 60 million just on the re-release there in China alone. When we saw that the remaster here for the rest of the world, not including China, because at least they were fair with this remaster. They're like, you just got it in 2021, so it's not as greedy as everybody's like. Oh, that's the only reason it's number one. It's been re-released like 20 times. It's been like twice, but yeah, it was only like it was not only, but it was in the 70s. I think 71, something around that. Million for the remaster, only 20 or so off of what just China alone got in 2021. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. That's going to be a interesting opening weekend. Cameron himself though said the important number is going to be the third weekend because he's like that's where we'll be able to judge, does this have the legs as the first Avatar? If it does, boom, 2 billion at that point is going to be easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I that would be awesome if they are able to see it in China and those COVID restrictions are lifted, like you said, and it does as well as I think it's going to do there. Man, I think people here are going to eat it up. I think it's going to do really well. So, boy, we could see some monster numbers. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because can you imagine, like, just if, obviously, hypothetically, if all these Avatar sequels were able to cross the 2 billion, you have basically the Avatar franchise would have every movie in it do something that at this point in time, I believe only 5 other movies in history have done. And you, like, if you can achieve of where every sequel crosses at least 2 billion, that is insane.
That is, and I mean, I don't expect it to, but if they could do 18 times, since they have 18 times the theaters, if they could do 18 times the ticket sales, I mean, obviously that's ideal, but I mean, if they could hit that number and people actually go see it here, I mean, those two things right there could push it close to a that 3 billion mark. And yeah, if it gets there, that'd be awesome. I'm not expecting it, but
Yeah.
that would be fun. It'd be cool to see. I don't think there's
Somebody,
very many movies that come out that have even a chance at hitting that. So
no, no. Montana Productions did say, obviously, when 3 comes out in 2 years, that would cement Avatar as the biggest franchise ever. Sadly, that one right there will never be the case. And I believe I'm correct in saying never, because they do. lump like the MCU all put together. They lump it as one franchise, which in a way is it's I see that as kind of unfair because honestly, it's made up of a bunch of franchises. I mean, you could say the Iron Man trilogy is a franchise, but I guess they're just lumping all of them together. So the MCU will forever now be because obviously they're not going to stop anytime soon. Before now, and the time we even get five, there's going to be another 20, close to 20 MCU movies. Like, not even joking. So yeah, they will always remain the number one franchise. But at least in individual movies, you know, this is something to be proud of, regardless. You know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I understand why they are all lumped together, but it does seem a bit unfair. But hey, that's okay. We've got that number one spot.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see that moving because a lot of them say, "Oh, if you re-release Endgame, we'll pass that." I'm sorry, man. At this point, it's not gonna happen. uh, no, because it just doesn't. It doesn't recreate the experience, and that's what I love. The cast that just saw Avatar 2, they get asked like Sam Worthington, Sigourney Weaver. They're like, "Man, how did you like it? You just saw it." They finally got to see the full movie, not just a few minutes, and they're like, whew, Sam Worthington's like, it's not even just a movie. It's not even like watching a movie. It's just like you feel it. It's another experience, and because basically centering it around family. He says, I love it how he says, we just went through everything with COVID-19. Right now, it's like the perfect time to have this theme of family and what you would do to protect those, you know, uh, whether they're actual biological or just chosen family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I like to hear more than like, oh, I loved it. It was so great. Yeah, I expect any actor or actress pretty much is going to say something similar to that to any movie they're in to help hype it up and make money. But when I hear things like that go deeper, that say, it was an experience, it truly like moved me. When I hear stuff like that, that excites me. Kind of like you're talking about when you like to hear what people think about it. So I guess I can't say that I totally don't care what people say about it when it's kind of takes me back to that quote that you had up last stream about Cliff Curtis and just how much it moved
Yeah,
him as well and how impactful it was. Now that to me is exciting because
exactly.
it's more than just an opinion of hey that was a really awesome movie. It truly moved them. And so if this movie is going to truly move people like Avatar 1 did or maybe even more, now that is very exciting to me for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait till like after he sees it, kind of like retouch, like revisit his like a new quote from him after seeing the full movie, maybe like after the London premiere or something, to see if like the whole movie really kept giving him that same sensation all the way through. And obviously, us experiencing it for ourselves, man, I can't wait. Um, Another interesting thing that have you heard Sam Worthington talk about him freaking out 30, because they're shooting 30 feet deep, and how he kind of like freaked out for a second. He's kind of losing it during a scene, and then
No, I haven't heard
it
that,
was
but shoot, I believe it.
so he was like kind of spazzing out. He said he was kind of like losing it, and what brought him snapped him back in, like, to help him, was because he was doing a scene with Britton Dalton, who plays Loak, who sadly we haven't seen him do interviews. It's like this movie's gonna be like his movie or a big portion of it, and it's kind of sad we haven't really seen him. I don't know if he's chosen not really to do publicity. Maybe he hasn't wanted to, but regardless, he says he kind of touched his arm and he kind of just like helped him. Like he's like, he saved me. We were like 30 feet deep, and I was beginning to like, my mind started to race, and he was just starting to have like an attack, like a panic attack or something. and he's like, all he did was place his hand. He's like, and we were still in the scene. So I'm very
That's
curious to
wild.
see if they kept that as a take for for the actual movie. He's like, we were still in the scene, and he just grabs my arm and he like snaps me you know back to it, and he freaking saved me. So I'm like, man, just little things like that have been very awesome to hear. And honestly, I didn't know they were 30 feet deep. Like I knew it was a big tank and everything, but even from pictures that we've gotten, it's looked maybe, I don't know what, like maybe 15, 20 feet, but to know that 30 feet deep, that is deep, man. And you have to, like, every few, there's levels where you have to kind of like recalibrate along the way down, because that's pressure. That's a lot of pressure, on the human body going. You can't just quickly descend like that, and you can't quickly like just come up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe it was Zoe that I heard say it was 30 feet down, maybe on Good Morning America. So that was the first time I'd heard that number. And I was like you, I was thinking, oh, I don't know, 15 max, maybe 20. But 30, I mean, I wouldn't want to be 30 feet underwater. That's just me. So I think that's amazing that he got them to buy into that and actually work through that. Like that's not easy.
Exactly. Like the more I hear about it, I'm like, man, the behind the scene, and I'm glad they're talking about it, because that's the kind of the stuff that I also just love hearing. Like when being able to like give props, like, man, like look at that, like look at the conditions that they film these movies in and things like that. And I think a lot of people do too. Like the average audience, they love hearing about real challenges like that. So man, and we can appreciate it so much more when we finally get the finished product. I mean, like, man, these people really put, honestly, hard work that nobody else, not the hardest thing ever, but I'm just saying it was unique. Like nobody else had done this kind of thing before. I mean, I know he's done underwater stuff with like the Abyss, but it was never to this level.
Yeah, I mean, there's a level of danger to that. I mean, obviously they're going to be as safe as possible, and I'm sure there's tons of people around to help out if anything's going on. But still, you're underwater 30 feet. I mean, there's inherently a level of danger to that. So, I mean, kudos to them for being okay with it, working through it. That's just so impressive to me. That really shows a level of dedication.
For real, man. And I can't wait to, after the movie itself, just dive into all the, please Disney, like give it proper documentary, proper special features when the home video comes out. Even if you just put them up for streaming only on Disney Plus, like who cares? I just want to be able to see them. So yeah, man, because that's gonna be an impressive, behind the scenes like documentary right there. That's gonna be awesome.
Absolutely, and I'm like you, man. I eat those behind the scenes documentaries up. One of my favorite things.
Exactly. I watch those more than I've actually rewatched the movies themselves. Like I've watched those hours and hours of Lord of the Rings, from the extended editions, even Peter Jackson's King Kong, just because once again, Peter Jackson was like the king, dude. For a little while, he was the king of like these mammoth, like behind the scenes, and it was like Weta. It was when I discovered, like, I love that those years, like discovering Weta and the incredible work that not just like Weta Digital at the time, but now they're called like Weta FX, but Weta Digital, but also the Weta Workshop, led by Richard Taylor. Man, I got very familiar with Richard Taylor's like heavy New Zealand accent, like watching hours and hours of these documentaries. But yeah, man, they're the same stuff for the Avatar. Richard Taylor and his team crafted all the Navi, things that were always just completely digital in the movie, but they still created real versions of like all of them, all the garments, Moats, thing, like every little piece, every brace, worn by Jake or anything, like they were all made physically. It's great to see all that stuff, man. It's incredible.
It is, and I mean, I think them having that and seeing like I've even seen some behind the scene things where they'll put like wind to it and see how the garment would blow in the wind, and it's just like you can't beat having a physical item even for Weta to
Exactly.
have in front of them when they're creating it digitally. I mean, they really raised the bar, the standard for how that's done, and I'm glad to see them do that. Continue to do that.
Exactly. I mean, one day we'll have to do like a watch party, man. Just like watching the at least the documentary. What's it called? Capturing Avatar, I believe it's the title of the documentary itself. I love it. I love that documentary.
Yeah, I'd love to watch it with everybody if the audience would be down for that.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody here in the chat has never seen the like not just clips on YouTube because it doesn't do it justice. Has anybody not seen like the full capturing Avatar? I believe it's what like maybe a 2 hour documentary, something like that, 2 3 hour. It's like a full length documentary. Nowadays we don't even we hardly get full length documentaries, man. So they're a treasure.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's something James Cameron actually values. I mean, as long as they've been working on the sequels and pre-production and whatnot, hopefully they can show us good stuff for two. I mean, I know they filmed a lot of three in there as well, so hopefully they can show us a good documentary, but be like, hey, this is from two, this is from three. We can't show that. Hopefully that can be done. If not, I'd say we'll get a huge one after three is done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because yeah, that was the interesting one. On it reminds me of when they did the Hobbit trilogy, where like they still gave you tons of he still did tons of bonus features, which are honestly better than the movies themselves. Like love
Yes.
Peter Jackson, but those movies were just not it. Um, but the behind the scenes are still incredible because it's like come on, dude. It's like he's still a super creative mind, and then it's once again it was like the boys were back. I got the Weta Workshop team, the Weta Digital again or FX. I got to get used to that, but the Weta Digital team, like just seeing all the hard work they put into the movies. Even though I didn't really end up liking those anywhere near the original, Lord of the Rings trilogy, it still made me appreciate the movies more. And I love that that's what these things can do is just make you appreciate the craft and what you see on the screen just that much more. But yeah, it reminds me that they had to be very careful because they kind of shot a lot of them simultaneously, those as well, kind of back to back to back. So it was I'm sure it was interesting editing wise, not being able to show you. And sometimes I'd be like, you know, that little thing in the background was not from the first one. I'm sure that's gonna pop up later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's wild. And it's kind of like we were talking about how Varong isn't going to be in Avatar 2, but yet she probably just spent all this time filming at the same time as everybody else, and she's got to wait another 2 years to even see herself on film. That would be odd.
Man, yeah, because that would be at that point about 7 years later. What she performed with those other actors will finally be seen 7 years later. That's crazy, man. That's almost a decade later to finally have your work out there and appreciated. But I'm sure it's gonna be worth it. And hey, they've hyped her up, as a super big character for the rest of the sequel. So I'm excited to see how that comes about. Maybe a brand new region, part of the clan of a brand new region. So we never know.
Can't wait to find out, though.
Man, so close. Just a couple. We'll answer a couple more here from the chat, and then we'll end it for tonight. But thanks for sticking around, guys. Like, I know nothing structured right now towards the end, but I love just being able to chat with you guys. It's fun. Um, I know earlier somebody said we need a Discord. I believe it was Jaden or something like that. But yeah, we'll have to come up with something because it'd be great to you know have our little community where we can just discuss things all the time. But let's see here. Brandon Lewis has a quick question. If you could only tame one, would it be a Thanator or an Ikran, Drew? What's your answer to that one?
Well, I'm not fully convinced you can even tame a Thanator, and I would rather fly, so I'm gonna have to go with Ikran.
Yeah, the Ikran, as you guys can see by my little avatar thing here on the streams, is my favorite creature design in all of film. Uh, some of the designs, obviously, for the Way of Water are coming close, but it might always just be my favorite, just because at that point, it'd be like years of nostalgia. But currently my favorite design, so I would have to say the Ikran. But hey, Neytiri basically did ride a Thanator. Obviously, she didn't tame it. It had to basically want to be ridden. AWA had to say so. But I think if anybody could, man, it would be Kiri who could tame a Thanator. Um,
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. Feels like she could probably have a special bond with almost any creature, even ancient ones coming from underneath the water.
oh
Um,
my god, guys.
yeah,
Oh my god. Oh, Drew. And then when I turn out to be correct, oh man, we'll have to make a
I'll
deal. I
just
want
I'll just turn my
see
phone
what I
off.
want.
I won't I won't be part of the podcast anymore.
Never talk to me again. Um, we'll do one final. That'll be the end. We won't be exploring Avatar anymore. Because it just resurfaced anyways. Uh, we'll take one final one from Christina Garcia, who says, "What about that photo where Spider looked like he was wearing a mocap suit?" So, I'll go first, and I'll admit that whenever I started putting the dots together, and I claimed, oh, this means he's gonna get an Avatar body, which I still think he could get. But then I've heard them explain it that basically what it was is that he was a stand-in for what, so he had to do double duty. I've heard it explained that he had to wear the mocap suit to still be in the scenes that he was going to be in as a human, but he was just in them in the mocap suit to help, with that process. And that later, when they were doing the live action, he basically had to repeat all the same motions, but now the performance captured actors weren't there anymore. So he kind of had to pull double duty. What do you? What is your take on it, Drew? Because I don't think I've ever asked you about that whole thing.
I would believe it because I mean they never tried to hide it like on Instagram or whatnot. Like the kids when they were first filming, I mean they posted pictures of them with their mocap suits on all the time. So it was never like a secret that he wore one. He used to have a ton of pictures up of him wearing one, and so yeah, I mean, I buy that. I don't think there's some kind of conspiracy theory behind that. I don't think they're really hiding anything. Might he get an
It's not an
avatar
alien
body?
threat.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm definitely open to that. I definitely wouldn't be shocked if he did, but I don't think that's why he was always wearing a mocap suit. So,
Yeah.
and I hadn't heard it. I hadn't heard it explained. What you just said. So that's new to me, and that's interesting. That's kind of cool to hear, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I forgot where I just heard it. I think it was one of the um either a video interview or a written one. I think it was one of the video ones. But yeah, I heard it explained like that, and like you said, you're like, okay, that makes sense for the reference. But But I don't know, because if they ever interact with other humans, I'm like, did all them, you know, were they all there during the performance capture? I don't think so. But it could just be because he's involved with them so much in those scenes, because he's, literally just part of, at least the family at that point or something. It could be like that. So, well, we'll see. We'll see if it eventually means he'll get an avatar body. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, we have just 2 weeks left to go, and a few days till we find out the general audience's reaction. And yeah, we will end it here. And I believe in maybe a couple days' time, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the day after, we'll have the our final part of the High Ground Volume 3, and we'll be ready, man. We'll be ready for the movie at that point.
Yeah, I'm excited. Again, thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys make this a lot of fun. Thank you, Jerry, for all the hard work. It actually takes a lot of time to chop up those pages and upload them and everything. So, Jerry puts in a lot of work to make these happen. And a lot of the times, that's why we're a little bit late. There's usually a few things that need to be done and added, etc. Maybe we'll bring up some ideas that we want to share. So, sorry for always starting late, guys, but it's really just because Jerry's working on getting stuff uploaded and making the podcast as good as possible.
So you heard it. He blames me for always being late. Um, but no, no, and obviously, always thank you for, joining me on this, and thank you guys always for showing up and just being so supportive. Comment, chatting amongst yourselves, chatting with us. It makes it, super fun. I love these just like avatar hangouts that we have. They eventually just become just avatar hangouts towards the end, and I still love it. You guys are still here. So thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed that section of the High Ground Volume 3. And obviously, not too much dialogue, but it's still been, super interesting. It's been a great action scene and everything. So we'll see how it ends and how it'll go into the Way of Water probably in a couple days' time. So we'll see you guys back then. And yeah, any final words, Drew?
See you guys soon.
Bye, guys.